to the UMP, better known as the Universal Mindset Podcast. As always, I am your host, Chris Matthews, and you are listening to part 2 of the series on leadership. I'd like to thank all of my listeners for tuning in for part 1. It has been an excellent foundation for this 8-part series, and I hope you all are gaining great knowledge and advice on this subject of leadership. Would you like to be able to call or text in when we are going live? The number to do so is 702-425-3319. Again, that number is 702-425-3319. To be a guest host on the Universal Mindset Podcast or to have an interview, please send over your information to the UMP2019@gmail.com and someone will be in touch with you with a response within 48 hours. Before we get started on today's episode, you all have a chance to win one of 3 gift cards for 3 people who refers a listener to the UMP. I know that everyone could use a bit of wisdom, advice, and encouragement along the way with a very nice gift card. So, to my first 3 loyal followers that can refer someone to the UMP to like, subscribe, and share to our channel, you will win one of 3 of those cards. Getting right into part 2 on leadership, I do want to mention that there might be a bit of digression on some of these points, but they do coincide with everything discussed on this particular topic. So today I'll be talking about a feeling of safety, how this is our main engine of progress, and also how this must be ensured by the group and its leaders. When it comes to survival, living in a group offers many perks, the most important of which being that we don't have to face threats alone. This also provides us with a feeling of safety that allows us to concentrate on making progress rather than avoiding threats. Because in prehistoric times, we have found danger around every corner. We had to protect ourselves from predators, other people, and diseases, while simultaneously trying to secure food and shelter. Living in a group, however, allows us to divvy up the tasks necessary for self-preservation, thus enabling us to concentrate on specific projects such as fashioning better tools. These in turn help us to progress as societies. As such, our brains have evolved to prioritizing feeling safe, which is why we now do strange things like stay in jobs we hate simply because they make us feel secure. So many a times I've done this before, as well as many others. Before I knew I was a born leader, I was so scared to branch out away from these unsecured jobs. I always wanted to beat them to the punch per se, before they fired me, but again, being so scared to move, they always got me before I got them. And that's something I've come to actually master now, which is a great thing that I really appreciate. Safety does not just come out of anywhere. It's a group's leader who draws a circle of safety around their community members. And as I've stated in part 1, to be that great leader, one must always be eagerly driven, and the hormones serotonin and oxytocin are 2 vital keys. Jobs today are basically like depressing, stressful concentration camps that people dread and fear coming to. Sure, the work gets done only because they are practically forced to do the daunting task in order to provide for their loved ones, but the lack of leadership is the problem that can so easily be solved in any job to reach the zenith of work performance from each employee. People have what I like to call a save me mentality, and this for me is a wonderful thing because I myself and plenty of others like me have a savior's heart at best. Like Jesus said in the Bible, I have not come to be served, yet I have come to serve. About a week or so ago, I was watching a video on a newfound YouTube channel that I am absolutely a major fan of now called the Holographic Multiverse. If you haven't heard of it, after listening to this episode, please go and check it out. Like, share, and subscribe to her channel, and I'll leave a link below in the description box. And as a matter of fact, the first person who actually does that, I'll personally send them $20. Subscribe and send your screenshot via Facebook Messenger on the fan page at the Universal Mindset Podcast, and you will win $20 from me. While I was watching one of her videos, she was explaining the differences of people who are savages and the ones who are non-savages. And the point that I'm taking from this is that everybody experiences within themselves who they truly are at one point or another. Have you ever been in a position where you've encountered someone in a very negative situation and afterwards you find yourself replaying over and over the types of vulgar, negative responses you could have said to that person, or found yourself over-exaggerating things you so-called said to that person when you're telling the story to someone else, or even say, the next time so-and-so says this or that to me, I'm going to do or say XYZ. Most people like me are very familiar with that situation and what I'm talking about. And that's because we are genuinely and deeply kind-hearted servants. It's almost kind of like what Paul says in the Bible, that what he wants to do, he doesn't do, yet what he does do, he doesn't want to do. Now, if you stand in a position to see that from the reverse point of view, you can see that it's honestly hard for people like us to not be so caring and loving. Looking back, I laugh at it now every time I think about it. But with that being said, this trait of ours puts us in the lead, in my personal opinion, to be those top leaders that people need and look up to. So many of us are out here feeling like we're just lost and very much alone, and this is why it is so crucial for us to take position and step up as the leaders that we're called to be, whether it be in a job, the work of your purpose, or just in life, period. We are the creators of the perfect circle of safety for those beneath us. This circle of safety describes a group of people who share common values and beliefs and strive to protect one another from threats. Within this circle, members can trust each other and thus pool their resources in order to progress. And this to me is rarely seen while performing on jobs, as to why I always stress for people, and especially born leaders, to learn the secret of the ages, learn how to live in the now, let go of the past, which no longer exists, and stop being anxious for the things of the future, and just learn to always maintain presence with the now. The moment you focus yourself on being in the now, the better leader you will become and the better person you will definitely be. It is the leader who determines just how far this circle extends. For example, Bob Chapman, the CEO of Hasten Sandicare, altered the course of management history at the company by radically expanding the circle of safety, allowing all employees free access to company goods and services. Working in a safe and trusting environment, he created a bond between the company's employees, who even began helping each other even in times of personal crisis. Some even transferred their own paid vacation days to those in need when a time of layoffs came about. Given that living in a group makes us feel safe today, we also need a leader who can help us pool our resources and achieve progress. This scenario with jobs is so hindering because of that major lack of trust. So many other CEOs and bosses and managers could really learn from Bob Chapman to imitate the ways he made a complete change of energy within the environment by simply taking the time to personally know about the well-being of the employees. I remember reading in the book Leaders Eat Last, one of the employees asked that if he were to truly speak his mind, would he still have a job the next day? This is exactly how people in positions at jobs make employees feel. For some reason, they let these titles or roles of management rule every part of their brain in the most negative way. I'll never forget the time I worked at a video store back in Columbus, Ohio. Family Video was the name. And the manager sent me a text trying to correct me on some issues that he was given misguided information on. Long story less long, after I told him what his assistant should properly do, due to being in previous management roles myself and being a grown man before any of that title stuff, he told me via text that he would always side with his managers and that maybe I am not a good fit somewhere, or maybe I'll be a good fit somewhere else. So I was also no longer employed there. The general manager even went along with this decision, so I decided to just let it be. Within this job, there was absolutely no leadership whatsoever, and I was beyond qualified to even be working in a place like that anyway. I've sold myself short so many times, and that is honestly another episode within itself. But the more I come to know myself, the true leader in me, the better I become at creating my circle of safety for myself and most definitely for the others looking to be inside that circle of safety. I hope this episode has really knocked at the door of your hearts and minds, because this is so very important. And like I always say, it is time for us to wake up and wake up now. Be sure to join me for part 3 on leadership next Monday. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and also hit that notification bell so you will be notified whenever I upload a new podcast. Contact us through Facebook at the Universal Mindset Podcast, or on Instagram at the UMP 2019. Call or text us at 702-425-3319, and the email address for any inquiry is the UMP2019@gmail.com. Please let a friend, a family member, or even someone you don't know that there is a new circle of safety out here, ladies and gentlemen, and it is right here at the UMP, better known as the Universal Mindset Podcast, with me, your host, Chris Matthews, and I'll see you next time.